Good morning, everyone. In this video, so it has been 6 years since I last drank alcohol to the day. Didn't even know that until last night when I was clicking through Facebook and saw a memory of the Super Bowl party where the Broncos won the Super Bowl, and that ended up being the last day. But so we're going to talk about that. And so, yeah. Figured I'd play the intro. I like the intro. It's brand new. So, basically, I had no idea I was going to do this yesterday until I saw the post last night, and I feel like it might be like a good book. I did a live stream on the same topic a couple years ago, or not a couple years ago, last year, and then I did another one on, and then I'd been thinking about doing another one, but didn't know. But so maybe it'll be like a good book where as you read it at different times in your life, it'll have different complements, different meanings. I'm going to try to get it done quickly because I have a bunch of other videos I want to make, but who knows? It could go long. But so basically I'm just going to talk through the story. I'm going to talk through a TikTok that I saw yesterday that I really liked, that I think has a lot to do with what made me want to stop drinking. And then, yeah, that's basically it. But so we'll kind of dive right in. So before I stopped drinking, well, first let's talk about so before I stopped, I was reading a bunch of books about how to be not how to be an influencer, how to kind of be a better person. And one of the things that I stumbled across was The Secret and the Law of Attraction, which is basically ridiculed at this point by the majority of people, because the common idea is that this book or this thing tells people that if they just think about having a Mercedes, they'll get the Mercedes, right? Which isn't what it really means. And a guy on TikTok yesterday articulated it beautifully, but he didn't articulate it in terms of it actually being what The Secret talks about. So I'm going to talk through kind of what he said. And so his basic premise was he was going to describe exactly what was wrong in your life, and he basically says it's based on standards. And so standards for him are any area of your life where you set a bar. Now, his example was really good. His example was your bank account. If your bank account's at $500 and that's where you think it should be, that's where you like it, that's where, you know, what you're comfortable with, your actions will be dictated on whether your bank account is over or under that. So if you look at your bank account and you have $300, you're like, ooh, I don't quite have $5, so I'm going to have to save some money, and you'll save up till you hit $500. But then if you have $1,000, your mind is like, ooh, I got to look at all this money. I can spend a bunch of money. And so your actions will dictate it. You'll go out, you'll spend the money, and then it'll drop you down to $500. And if you do that, you end up with basically a situation where you are, jumping over and back on this arbitrary number, where if you just set a different number, your actions would lead you in the way that you want to go. And so that's really what The Secret is about. So what they'll say is like, one of the stories in it was, a guy was thinking about how he was going to make $100,000, and he, put it in his mind that that's where he wanted to get to. And then he saw an ad for, I forget the name of the magazine. It's like a magazine that's in every convenience store or whatever. And basically his thought was, if I could sell 400,000 of these for a quarter, we'd be good to go. So for a quarter, he's definitely taking care of his publishing and all the other stuff in terms of the other amount that he's going to be able to spend on creating the brochure or whatever, creating the book, right? Because the publisher is going to have the majority of the money. But if he could just make a quarter, all he's got to do is sell 400,000 of them. And then he's walking into a convenience store and he sees this magazine that he never really thought about advertising in. And he kind of like looked at it and thought about it for a second. He's like, oh, I wonder if that would work. And then like 3 days later, he met someone that was working for that company. And so had he not been kind of like thinking about how he would distribute this book and have it be for a quarter, he never would have met the person and had the thought of like, oh, you work for this company, you can help me with this, this, and this. And so he didn't actually do it. But so essentially, setting your intention towards something and aiming for it allows you to navigate through it. And if you set your standards that I'm going to wake up at, 10 a.m. every morning and play, Call of Duty till 3 a.m. in the morning, that's what you're going to do. But so for me, drinking was always in the cards, right? It was like college. Like my mom, awesome. She made college a part of what you were going to do, right? It wasn't a question. Now, we can kind of get into that whole ball of wax another day, but I really enjoyed just that intention. She always saw the best in me. She always wanted me to be the best. Like if there was ever any doubt, like my whole family really, there was such a loving community around who I was before I had done anything, which really helped me to, grow as a person. And so as I saw how people reacted to me in the world, I kind of navigated through it, but I always had that solid foundation, whether it was my mom, my dad, my brothers, my sisters, like everybody was always very encouraging. And so when it came to college, that was always a part of what I was supposed to do. And so it wasn't a very shocking thing when I, was doing my applications and like trying to push towards that and working towards that. Drinking was the exact same way. It was never it was never something where I was given a choice. I never took the time to make it a choice, is really what I'm trying to say. And so after I started drinking, I continually drank, and I would have like, 3 beers a night when I'd get home, maybe 1, maybe 2. We'd watch a movie, do something like that. And it just wasn't something that I had ever really evaluated whether I wanted to do. But so on the weekdays, it'd be, let's have a beer. Let's, we'll mow the lawn, we'll have a beer, or this, that, and the other thing. But then on the weekends, we would kind of hit it hard, and we would go to the bars, and we would go have some fun. And it was a great time. But as I started to read a bunch of books about how I could be more and how I could do more, and I think, I wonder how much farther ahead that was. So 2016 was when I stopped, and 2013 was when I left Ridgeview Academy, a youth service center, as a corrections or youth corrections officer or corrections coach to pursue doing lacrosse full time, right? So I lived with my mom for a while. Had the opportunity to start making like customized meshes and stuff. And so I had this dream of making lacrosse what I wanted to do. And then as I got through and into more of kind of the drinking phases, I realized that as I was having these plans to go and try and do what I wanted to do, the binge drinking on the weekends would reset me back to square one on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then I would get a tiny bit done in terms of the vision that I had for what I wanted to do. And so over like the few months and probably years before I actually quit drinking, it was always in my head as far as, hey, this might be something I'd want to try. And now it was never something where I was like, I've got to quit drinking. It was never something. I'd been to, alcohol classes and all of that for MIPs and, a DWAI I got 2 days before I went to college. But in those classes, drinking was never something that I felt that I would have to make better. The reason why I quit drinking was because of that whole, I wasn't making progress towards the goal that I had set for myself in terms of creating an income so that I could live, right, through lacrosse. And so I tried to stop. I failed, tried to stop, failed, and so how I would try to stop is in an interesting kind of way. So basically what I would do is I would have a, binge night, and then I would say to myself, and I would say to my now wife, like, hey, I'm just not going to have one for like a week. I'm just going to try not to have one, see if I want it, see if I can't do it. But so what would happen is I'd get to like day 2 or day 3, and then we'd still go to the bars and whatnot. And then it would just kind of be, I'd fall into that routine. And then it was just, well, why would I be here if I'm not going to drink? And so then I'd have one, and maybe I'd only have one that night, but then the next day it was right back into the natural routine. But so on February 7th, 2016, the Broncos played someone in the Super Bowl, and we always had like a Super Bowl party at a friend's house, and did my usual thing, got all hammered, ended up driving home like I think I was like 1 or something, so I felt like I was okay, and then I got home, was really hungover, and that day I decided I was going to take 30 days. And this time there was one huge difference. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell my wife. I didn't tell my friends. I didn't tell my brothers. I didn't tell anyone. And that was very important in terms of how things went the next few days. Because instead of having this pressure from people who understood what I was trying to do, and then having that thought in my head in terms of what they would think or any part of that was now gone. And that was so essential in what ended up happening, because that night at the bar, basically I just said, no, I'm good, I'll have a water. Or I think my go-to is Diet Coke, because that's kind of what we grew up on. But so have my Diet Cokes, didn't tell anybody. It wasn't until day like 8 or 9 that my wife now was like, you haven't had a drink in like a week. And I'm like, I know. And so then she was the first one kind of on board. And then at 30 days, I was basically like, I feel great. Why would I? And then I just haven't ever gone back, right? And so it wasn't, that's just me though. That's how it went for me. I know that not having the pressure of telling people was probably one of the biggest things that I did, because that really worked for me. It was something where it allowed the recognition of it only being my struggle to only be my struggle, right? And it was my intention that was doing it. It wasn't pressure from anyone. It wasn't anything else. It was just me who was doing it. And so I think that can, if it helps you, it helps you. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It doesn't really matter. I'm not doing this for anybody else. I'm kind of doing this just to kind of see if I come up with anything new in terms of what I think about it now. But so I think the main idea within this stream is just kind of just tell the story again and kind of see where it falls. But everything you see on YouTube, everything you see on YouTube, on POWLAX.com, all of that was created after I quit drinking, right? And it wasn't one big thing. It was little pieces, a set of 3 months where I'd work really, really hard, and then like a year where I wouldn't do anything, and then I'd repurpose the stuff I worked on before, and then I would go back to do it. Like if you look through my Instagram and all my other things, it's very sparse sometimes, and then you just kind of get into a flow of how you do it all. But with that escapism of drinking every night, it didn't help me contribute to that. And now I look at life and I'm like, if I had had kids before I quit, there is no way I would have quit, right? Because the kids put so much stress on you that it's that escape into the drinking and into just having a beer because it relaxes you. There's no way that I just don't think it would have been as easy to like make the decision and to quit. But, at a certain point, when you continually try to do something and you fail and you fail and you fail, you've got to recognize that that's the most important thing you could be doing, because you're just showing the intention over and over and over again, and you're gonna fail. Like it's not something where you gloat about, oh hey, like look at me, I'm 6 years without drinking. It's I failed 20, 30 times in the years in the lead up to it, but I was setting the intention that was what I wanted to do. But so hopefully that'll help people. If you want to watch a whole long, more drawn out one, there's one that's a year ago today where it was 5 years, because for the first 5 years I didn't really tell anyone. I didn't put it on social media. Like my wife knew. If someone would ask, I'd tell them. The other thing is I never ran into anyone who was like, nah bro, you gotta drink. Like come on, man, have a shot with me. I think there was one, and he was just a drunk idiot I didn't even know. But so that is, that's how it went for me. I think the main new part about it today was kind of just that re-articulation of the idea of what standards you're going to have and what your identity is going to be. Because when you set a standard that you, or a line that you want to get to, when you set it and you fail, and you set it and you fail, and you set it and you fail, all those little times where you failed in there are like building little blocks into it becoming your identity. And then once you get to a certain point, kind of like a pull-up, like if you can't do a pull-up or a chin-up and you just hang on the bar and you try really hard and then you fall, and you try really hard and then you fall, and you try really hard and then you fall. If you do that day after day after day, eventually you're going to get to the spot where every time you grab the bar, you just know you're going to be able to do it. And that's kind of the part where when the standards are set and you look at it and you say, I know when I go to the bar, I'm going to see all the booze that I like. I know I'm going to order a Diet Coke or something with fizz because I like having that. It just kind of becomes a part of your identity. And then when you extrapolate that, so another kind of cool thing is quitting smoking. So when I was in college, I tore my ACL 2 days before my first game sophomore year, and then, ended up basically leaving the team and sitting on a field at Goucher College in the middle of it, smoking. I just picked it up, one here and then hookah and then all this. And so I ended up smoking for like 6 years. Then I quit to do vaping, and then my son Turner was born, and it created the need to try to quit, right? But so this book, which I give to anyone who, I will literally, if you're smoking and you want to quit, I will literally buy it for you and send it to your house, because it's the best book I've ever seen on this topic. But it's The Easy Way by Alan Carr, and it basically goes through all the reasons why you want to smoke or why you want to drink. There's a drinking book too, and it basically deflates all of them. And once you kind of read into what at least cigarettes for sure, are actually doing and how they're tricking you, it becomes a lot easier to recognize that you don't need them. Now, the addiction part of it, that's a whole other ball of wax, because one of the reasons why you never want to have that first puff is because it tastes really crappy, which makes you comfortable with hitting it again, because you think about, this is the biggest thing. You hit it, and then you say to yourself, oh, that was awful. I could never get addicted to those, and that nicotine in your brain has already started clicking. And then you do it again and again, and then each time you hit it, it becomes more a part of your identity, more a part of the standards you set for life. Then you're bumming off everyone when you're drinking. Then you're buying a pack every week. Then you're buying a pack every 2 days, and it just becomes a part of who you are, all because of that little nicotine trip. So for me, what happened for me was I was smoking for 6 years, vaping for like 4 or 5, and then I did the patches, and I failed a bunch of times as I was doing the patches too. But then when I got to the very last day of the patches, I said to myself, if I don't quit now, I probably never will, because it would be the easiest, right? Because the patches work in a way where they basically give you a prolonged amount of nicotine. So instead of spiking, which is what creates the addiction, you basically have a long, drawn-out thing of nicotine, and then they work you down, right? So I cheated like, 4 or 5 times in the time I was trying to quit smoking, but on that last day, it was, if you can resist right now, you'll probably be free forever. And now I look back at it and I'm like, I do not even know how that was a part of my life, and I'm so happy that I'm beyond it. I really can't look back and say, like it was just, part of my struggle, part of what I was doing. But so that helps you. Awesome. Really, for me, it was about trying to see if there was any new other things, how I look on it. I think I look at it pretty much the same as I did before, and I think that as I continue to try to build and try to create things that people in the lacrosse community will utilize, it's always nice to just kind of be on that track. But so I'm going to end that now. Thank you for everybody who is watching. I'm going to look through the comments and kind of see. We got a very well done and a huge congrats. Amazing things for the lacrosse, sport of lacrosse and yourself. Oh, well, thanks, guys. That's from Lucas. But so, if I can ever help with any of that, I think it's funny because actually the one video I get more contact about than any other is my 5 years without drinking video. And yeah, if you ever need help or want to talk about it, shoot me an email. We'll find a time to talk. I used to not have to say that because I was just available all the time, but now I'm actually really busy, which is nice. But yeah, thank you for all the support through time. If you are a POWLAX subscriber or you have ever donated anything or become a member or any of that, thank you seriously from the bottom of my heart. I'm so happy that the value that I've tried to put out is being utilized. It's really one of the coolest things ever, and I'm very grateful for it. It's definitely one of the things that has helped me to, really continually try to strive. Share it. It's my biggest thing. These new courses, you got to share it. So if you are a member or something, I hope you've, enjoyed it and that you really like it, and share it if you think it'll help somebody. So I'm going to wrap this up. Hope you guys have a great day, and we'll talk soon.